are now listening to the Sportz Nutz.
Hey, welcome to the Sportz Nutz, everybody. We hope you have had a wonderful week so far. Yes, obviously it's early, but it's Tuesday. We hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome to episode 103. My man, literally sitting. Look at this, and he's having a sip of his drink, Mr. Hank Russell. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Let me ask you something, though. Do you believe that a bologna sandwich is a satisfactory meal?
God, I hate bologna sandwich.
You know, that's disappointing for you to say that, because tonight is going to be a very satisfactory show. We're going to give you a bologna sandwich with sharp cheddar and some Grey Poupon on it. And that's how it's going to be tonight.
Some great pooping. Oh, man. Can't wait to hear that. And then my gentleman sitting right here below me. Mr. Shane Owen, how you doing, brother?
Man, doing good. Man, we've got about 3 inches of rain in the past couple of days, so it's been kind of gloomy. But hey, I've been out on the back porch, just kind of hanging out, getting ready for tonight's episode. Man, we got plenty to share with you guys. Hopefully, it's going to be a great interactive episode. We've got some great news on that. Brandon, go ahead, let them know.
Yes. So tonight is, guys. So actually, the guest that we have coming on next Tuesday is supposed to hit subscribe literally in any time, and that will put us at the one. Look right here, it says it, the 1,000 mark for subscribers. So yes, folks, we have done it. All right, Hank, can you give the round of applause sound effect, please, sir? That's right, we have done it, y'all. We're at the 1K mark. Cannot wait to get it going. All right, so what do we have to talk about tonight? We have some breaking news from Major League Baseball. Yes, we're going to talk about, Shane's going to talk about that. We are going to also talk, I got to get everything pulled because it's going to be a fantastic show. All right, so where does Giannis Antetokounmpo land? Best possible locations. We'll talk about that. Now, guys, we officially know the NBA draft positioning. We already have a comment from our good friend Dustin with what's up, gentlemen? Is the NBA rigged? Nico is saved by Adam Silver. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. The Colorado Rockies, guys. I don't know if you guys saw this. They are looking for everybody to be their manager. If you do, you'll inherit a really bad team. We'll talk about them. Could they be worse than last year's Chicago White Sox? Guys, I want to give a special shout out to the GOAT himself. No, I'm not talking about LaFlop. I'm talking about Michael Jordan. He is officially back in the world of basketball. We'll talk about where and what does that mean back in the world of basketball. Can't wait to share that with you. Guys, we only have a week and, well, actually 7 days officially in most locations for school. And I wanted to ask you guys a question. Where do you look forward to most other than that final bell ringing? Want to hear a little bit about that one as well. Then obviously, let's give a quick shout out right now. Hank, give the round of applause sound again, please. Yeah, round of applause to the Clemson University president, his daughter. She graduated from Clemson University. She does have a intellectual disability, and the video has gone viral. They were on the Today Show yesterday. She basically tackled her dad, which is the president, giving him a hug when that name was called, and it's just an ever special moment. Give a quick shout out to him as well. Y'all, like I said to start the show, we are one, and that one could come at any time. We are one subscriber away from 1,000. Help us right now. Go click subscribe right now, guys. And if you are that 1,000 subscriber, you just won yourself a Sportz Nutz Prize Pack, which would be a shirt, bag, car decal, sticker, and a keychain. Man, just a bunch of good goodies there. And guys, I want to quickly let you know, do not forget what is coming up for Friday, next Tuesday's episode. And guys, we also have a fan favorite returning on May the 23rd. Cannot wait to talk about that. So guys, before we really get going, I just want to give a quick shout out again to everybody who is watching. The most interactive guest tonight you will win a $15 Apple iTunes gift card. So start click right now. We're at 14 comments already. So let's get it going. I want us to try and hit that 50 comment mark. Heck, even the 100. Let's get it going and rock it. So this just in, there was some breaking news in the Major League Baseball world. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. Van Owen, what is this fantastic breaking news, sir?
Well, as of today, Manfred has lifted the ban on Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, among others of his teammates, and a couple other guys, I do believe, but has lifted the ban from the MLB. In his words, to quote him, he said, obviously, if a person is no longer with us, then they no longer, represent, a detrimental intent to ruin the game, as far as the integrity goes and stuff like that. So, that's big news. We've talked about it, countless times on here about, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe, not being in the Hall of Fame. As of right now, there would be a committee that votes on it. I think December 2027 would be the first time that they would be up for election. And that committee is, it's a tough committee. Buster Only, he said that he's been on that committee before, and he saw last year with Barry Bonds and I believe a couple others. Roger Clemens, I believe, was one of them. That was they only got 4 votes out of the 12 needed to go out of a 16-person panel. You've got to get 75%. So it's going to be interesting to see. Of course, we don't know, President Trump was involved in some sort. Back in February, he, threatened about a pardon on Pete Rose. And then Pete Rose's daughter and a lawyer got together and, kind of brought this all up with Manfred. But, as far as I know, it was I'm not sure how much, Trump had in it, but, it was a big deal, in the sports world in general, not only in the baseball world, because, somebody that's the leader in hits and, Charlie Hustle kind of represented what the game was and kind of what the game is, as America's pastime, and as many Americans loved him back then and still love him to this day. It's kind of great to see, but obviously there's many other hurdles that have to come to him before he gets in the Hall of Fame, but, well deservingly through the play on the field and everything else. So we'll just have to see how that panel votes and all that. And so, it's a big day in Major League Baseball.
Yes, it is. And so Hank had the privilege of coming down here actually recently. Mm-hmm. He got to see Shoeless Joe Jackson's house. He got to see Fluor Field, which is where your Greenville Drive play. So Hank, what does this mean to you knowing that both Shoeless Joe and Pete Rose, they're most likely getting into the Hall of Fame?
It's such horse, and I'm telling you, because they should have been in. Obviously, Shoeless Joe Jackson, he's been dead since like 1951 or something like that.
Yeah, and you looked that up, remember?
Yes, I did. I believe it was 51. I did. And it's such BS that he hasn't even been in. He's been dead for nearly for like a couple of decades short of a century. About like, what are we talking? 75 years now. He's been dead for about 75 years. So he's been dead for 3/4 of a century. That happened, what, over 100 years ago now? What are we talking, like the 1920s, early 20s?
20s and the 30s, yeah. So we're right at the cusp of 100 years.
Yeah. So, this is happening. Then, of course, Pete Rose, who just passed away just months ago. Matter of fact, he had that documentary on HBO Max about, the 3-part documentary, which was fantastic.
Great.
And Pitch Grid Pod just corrected me. 1918. See, that's what I'm saying. It's been over a century since it happened. I respect baseball's traditions. I really do. They've tried to keep some things, but all of a sudden, like somebody gives somebody a raspberry on their hip, retaliating from a baseball hit, and they want, or from somebody getting hit with a catcher getting hit with a baseball bat, and then they throw them out the game. I mean, be consistent, you know? I mean, you're being, or should I say, you know, you need a lamp thrown at you because you need to lighten the F up. You know, it's ridiculous. I mean, anything that I'm saying right now is not really news, and it's not very original, okay? But let's face it, that's one of the biggest issues with baseball, is I respect their tradition, but at the same time, I do not have any respect for their lack of forgiveness, especially when the crimes were non-violent.
Gambling. That was
Gambling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, non-violent. I mean, you know, could it have led to some violence and stuff like that? Sure, but that's on the safety of the player in question, not the, you know, there was no violence. And even then, if it was violent, you know, there is a point where you kind of have to forgive things. There was no sexual assault. There was no, you know, any type of, you know, murder.
There was no mob violence.
There was no mob violence. You know, I mean, the mob, you know.
It's a thing. The past commissioners have frowned upon it for years, and Manfred's kind of opened up the world views and kind of brought them in and kind of broadened the sculpture of, you know, what they want to review and what would really be, you know, considered acceptable, especially, you know, they're working so hard just to change the game, you know, with the pitch clock,
it's also,
the bigger
remember,
bases.
Manfred is the first one to bring in the Negro League stats to be officially accounted for Major League Baseball. Past commissioners, Bud Selig, he even said he was never going to bring it to fruition. And here we are. We're now having the legends of the past finally get the acclimates that they deserve. Look, yes, Shoeless Joe Jackson did something that, you know, put tarnishing on the game. Obviously, you know, that's understandable, but he still made a legendary impact for his time in the game. And then also Pete Rose, he did something that I'm almost certain that record in our lifetime may never be broken. And he revolutionized the game and his position. And yet, you know, yes, he gambled. He even admitted on NBC and ABC World News Tonight years ago, yes, I did gamble. You know, yes, he admitted it, but, you know, he still put his impact in the game. And, you know, rightfully so. Yeah. And, you know, I question a lot about like asterisks. I see that, hear that term on now. Look, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and even Barry Bonds. We know that was the Royd era, but yet they still did something that, you know, made a lasting impact on the game. Hank, you know this. You're a diehard St. Louis Cardinals fan. You still, to this day, this happened back in 98. It's 2025. People still post, I remember when I was this, and I remember this, when Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa went back and forth on their phenomenal home run race.
Mm-hmm.
He
broke Roger Maris's record for 62 home runs plus.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lasting impact. You can even remember, I mean, heck, John Smoltz said, I remember having to face Barry Bonds, and it was one of the hardest decisions. Should I pitch to him or should I walk him? And he even said there were so many times Bobby would even say he would do the 4 symbol, walk him. And John he even came out and said, I got so angry that I had to walk him. But I can tell you, I preferred to walk him because Barry was launching it. He absolutely was doing it. He revolutionized the home run game. Yes, Jackie Robinson did good too.
I got a fun stat for that one. So Randy Johnson against left-handed batters was a career like 199 batting average against them, and you know, a below 3 OPS. Barry Bonds batted against him 59 times and had a batting average of 356 and a 480 something OPS against him. If I might be a little off on the numbers, but it's that ridiculous. A dominating pitcher that we looked at back in that same era. And then Barry Bonds, the stats that he was able to put up there, you know, it just notes that he's a good player, but like you said, that asterisk.
Yeah, but and look at the comment that John said here. Does this open the window for the likes of Bonds, McGwire, and Sosa to get? Yes, I think it absolutely should open there. Same thing with Roger Clemens. And there's a name that I'm going to bring up that I've brought up so many times, and I'm going to bring it up until he is daggone put into the Hall of Fame. Andrew Jones, the youngest player ever to hit a home run in the World Series for the Atlanta Braves. He has come up, God, and it's so crazy. He has come up short by like 5%, 4%, and just he's getting closer and closer. But put him in the Hall of Fame. The dude has done phenomenal things. Now, here's a question that John just said. What about Jose Canseco?
Well,
what do you think, Hank?
And I've been dying to say this. Okay. Now, Jose Canseco used steroids his whole career.
Yep.
Now, granted, it's been what? He's been out of the league for what, 20 years now, something like
40,
that?
almost 40.
No, he ain't been out of the league that long.
He hasn't been since the 90s.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
almost
This is
40
the
years.
90s?
Yeah.
It's 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
90. I think it was like the early 90s is when he finished up his time.
Okay, well then 30 years. So
Still, it's
at
a
least-
long time.
But the point I'm making is that, okay, he did him pretty much his whole career. It's been long enough, though. It's been decades now since he's been out of the league. So exemption should be there based upon, accomplishments as well, regardless of whether they were, that's how the game was. But here's one that I don't, that a
He
lot of
was
people
right around the McGuire years. Okay, so that's your answer right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, no, they talked
That's
about
a long
it. I mean,
time, though.
I think he retired in the early 2000s, I thought.
I'm gonna look at now. You got me wanting to look it up.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
look it up.
I'm
Look it up,
not-
scrub. I got you.
I'm
But
not
here's
sure,
what. But here's the point I'm trying to make.
with you. I'm with
Somebody like Rafael Palmeiro. Rafael Palmeiro was busted for steroids, right? He was like in his late.
2001,
Yeah, see, I knew that he was in the league whenever the whole thing going.
85 to 2001 is when his career was.
I knew. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know why I doubted myself, but let me get back to what I'm saying. Rafael Palmeiro, who took steroids in his like late 30s, early 40s. I do not judge that because when you play sports, you have a short window of opportunity to play at a high impact level. And when you get in those later years and you still love the game and want to be able to play it, you want to be able to perform at your best and have some value on a team where they want to keep you around. You do anything to be there. So I don't judge somebody like Rafael Palmeiro doing it, but I will judge McGuire, who was 34 when he broke the record, and Jose Canseco, who pretty much did it all throughout the 80s and 90s, and has this Toy Story sized head on his shoulders.
But he also
steroids.
put Oakland officially on the map at the time too.
Yeah,
Bash
all those.
Brothers.
The stats don't add up for other more deserving people during that time. Is kind of I think kind of the connection that me and Hank kind of have. There's so many more deserving players with better stats that we all know and love than if Canseco gets in. Just I mean, simply the way he acted after the fact as well.
Did Darryl Strawberry get put in the Hall of Fame yet?
Ooh,
I do not believe so.
I don't think so. Actually,
I don't know, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I get that.
I don't
what
know, but
about,
it was a
Roger
drug
Clemens?
thing, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You kinda have
he
to
was
get-
a drugs person. Unfortunately he had a lot of demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and John, I don't know who John is. Is he
Pitch pod-
pitch?
pitch
Is
pod-
he
yeah,
the
he's-
pitch grid
yeah.
pod guy?
Yeah, he's pitch grid pod.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm just telling you, man, like somebody like Darryl Strawberry, once again, drugs, something that you did to yourself. You didn't necessarily do it you didn't necessarily do a violent crime here either. Yes, there should be penalty. You shouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer when you commit certain crimes. And then all this, it's like the steroid thing, it was a little bit cheating, maybe a little bit more strength, but it still takes precision to hit a ball. Just because you got a Toy Story head ass on your neck doesn't mean, your head is going to look like, Woody from Toy Story. Come on.
All right, let me ask you this then, Hank. Okay, so Darryl Strawberry did not get into the Hall, but let me ask you this: you just talked about a past player, right?
Right.
I mean, Roger Clemens. That's it. Would you think he should get in?
25 years in the league at a high impact, no doubt.
What about A-Rod? That's a very good question.
A-Rod, Bonds, Clemens would be my top three out of that era that would have to get in.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I mean, I'm saying A-Rod should get in, but he needs to serve a little bit of time outside the Hall of Fame before he does.
Well,
because
everybody else isn't prevalent in baseball. A-Rod's still on Fox, announcing games. So I guess
Right.
that kind of brings it. But they're kind of
Yeah.
all around the same kind of time frame.
Yeah, but Chris Webber was also was a well-known basketball player after screwing the University of Michigan during the time of the the Fab Five era. So that's kind of irrelevant. We have to, the Hall of Fame, if they're trying to do integrity, then yes, then those guys need to serve time outside the Hall of Fame, not be first ballot Hall of Famers. It's not like somebody like Yadier Molina, who's the greatest catcher of the last generation, who didn't have controversy behind him, and quite frankly was declining in his last 2 or 3 years in the
I'd put
league.
Yachty in there, though. I absolutely would.
Definitely.
Yeah, first ballot Hall.
Yachty's top 3 catcher all time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Him, Johnny Bench, and
just a lot of great players. Yes,
but maybe I don't know, because but you get what I'm saying, right? Yes, I think that non-controversy should be rewarded with first ballot Hall of Famers if you have the accolades, of course. Which in Yadier Molina's case, he's got 2 championships under his belt. But then you got like Jose Canseco. He won some with the Athletics in the late 80s and stuff like that. So he's got championship accolades. Mark McGwire, he didn't win a championship with the St. Louis Cardinals, but he did win one with the A's at the same time that Jose Canseco was with him. So you can't, it's a tit for tat type thing. And it's like, I can't imagine them not putting him in the Hall of Fame eventually. What happened to Pete Rose was unjustified, was no excuse for not putting him later years, especially since he never really fully admitted to it until that documentary. But after that, he should have been placed in immediately. Even though that documentary came out like less than a year ago, they should have at least said, "Okay, you admitted it. It's been 40 years. You good."
you're right. All right, so let's go on to the next. I mean, we can talk about this for
I was getting worked up about it. I'm sorry.
All right, so obviously, every sport has a great rival. Absolutely has a great rival. So here's the question.
Okay.
I'm going to pose to all of you, okay? And everybody can answer. What is the best rivalry, like player on player, in any sport? And I'm going to give you an example. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. And I'm going to start with you, Shane. Which one is the best? I want you to hear. You can give me as many as you want, but I want you to really focus on like the big ones.
Oh yeah, well, I kind of went broad, rivalry in sports. So what I did was I kind of brought 3 in, we're talking about player for player, kind of man for man, and the biggest one I can think of, and the biggest one that I kind of grew up kind of following throughout was the Dale Senior Jeff Gordon rivalry that they had on the track back. I mean, and they were good, decent friends and made NASCAR into the big sport that it was. But man, at that time it was a great rivalry. Team sports, the best rivalry in sports, in my opinion, is going to be the Red Sox and the Yankees. Just the heat and the passions there from both fan bases, and it's been there for years. Number 3, kind of like my honorable mention, like most heated kind of rivalry. I kind of grew up around it, but the Carolina Clemson rivalry, it's almost in any sport.
What was that year where they had the brawl, where it was called the brawl?
I want to think it was one of Lou Holtz's first years, maybe in 01, 02, maybe.
For those who are in the stream, let us know when the brawl was for Clemson in South Carolina.
I mean, it's like every sport. It doesn't matter how good, how bad each team is. It's that one game that they all get up for. And so, whenever I moved out of South Carolina back in 2001, you had to pick a side. There wasn't hey, we know you're a Hokie fan, but listen, which side are you choosing? So, those are kind of my top 3 that, kind of bring out the best and, what we all consider a rivalry.
All right, Hank, let's go to you.
I mean, I can't. I can't name anything but the classics. I mean, the Yankees versus the Boston Red Sox. You know, that's obvious. That's an obvious one, and has been and still is. You know, I will say I feel like I don't want to be Captain Obvious with my answers because
no, please do.
I mean, obviously
totally
the Boston.
Obviously
the Boston Celtics versus the LA Lakers is an obvious one, but let's see here. Oh gosh, I need to think of some that aren't so obvious, really. Oh gosh, man.
All right, here's your answer. It was 2004, by the way, Shane.
2004. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
21 years ago.
Okay, I'll say the Bulls and the Pistons of the 80s.
Okay, yeah,
the
Bad Boys.
Yeah, the Bad Boys, versus Jordan in that bunch. You know, that's probably a huge one. I definitely, as far as, oh man, I mean, gosh,
there's so many good ones out there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like I see John naming football, but college football ones are not really very good rivalries because it's always one sided. Like when they talk about Tennessee versus Florida, Florida takes the majority of the time anyway. Yeah, okay. Notre Dame versus Miami, I could see because of the convicts versus the Catholics. Okay, but that was like the 80s. So
that's Jordan and Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, that's a good one. But I like the convicts versus the Catholics. It doesn't.
There was a 30 for 30 done about that too.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard.
Oh man, it's great.
It's really good.
Great. It's great. It brings back entrepreneurship into your blood.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
well, here's one also that I think of most notably. It's called the Down South Dirty Rival. It's Atlanta versus New Orleans. The Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints. That is the most hated rivalry in the entire South, especially the Southeast. And it's so crazy that even when both these franchises started, they absolutely hate each other. They still, even in NBA terms, the New Orleans Pelicans, when they play against the Atlanta Hawks, there's still that animosity, even in basketball. Here's another good one: Georgia Tech. That's a good one right there. Those two actually, as of late though, it's been all UGA. UGA is absolutely owned.
That's why I'm kind of taking a deep breath on that one because I'm like, it's kind of a one-sided.
Yeah. Look at the Iron Bowl.
Yes, Alabama, Auburn. I mean, there was that one game, and the shirts are still out there today. It says, "Hey, Nick, you got a second?" Talking about when he kicked the field goal, missed it, and the guy returned it 107 yards for the winner in the Iron Bowl. Yeah, I mean, and then here's another one: University of Hawaii, BYU. For those who don't know, BYU at one time was this close to going to the national championship, and they traveled to Hawaii, and Hawaii beats the absolute snot out of BYU. BYU was like number 8 in the nation, and they gave up 75 points to University of Hawaii. Nick Rolovich torched the BYU. That's the same year that Detmer was going to win the Heisman Trophy, and Hawaii derailed that really quick. So I mean, there's so many good rivals that are out there.
Yeah, I mean,
but let's look at more of a modern one right now. Okay, I'm gonna start with you, Hank. Give me one modern rival. It can be player or it can be team. Give me one modern.
That's an easy one. The Grizzlies versus the Golden State Warriors.
Ooh, I like that actually.
They got because of the rivalry being so big, they got the Christmas Day game 2 seasons ago, and it's been like that for a decade between these two. Now, granted, Golden State has had the upper hand, but gosh, I remember that. I remember when they had the days when Mike Conley broke his face, and then you had in the later years, Ja Morant and Dylan Brooks and all these guys going against Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and all that stuff. And it's just created such a interesting perspective, like one of the best teams of all time versus probably one of the dirty, or maybe not the dirtiest, but one of the most grittiest, of the 2000s and 2020s.
All right, Shane, give me a fairly more recent modern, like notable rivalry.
I can tell you one that's come on, especially with recent, free agent acquisitions and everything. As soon as the Braves start doing good, it'd be a great rivalry. But the Braves and the Dodgers, just with the
Yes.
talent on the field and, where they always end up in the postseason normally, it's one of those things that's become a great rivalry. And, the Braves are spending, a quarter of what they are on salary, but it's still a great rivalry. So as it can be a whole lot better, but it's just one of those things that whenever you start the season, you look at those two teams and it's, hey, these are the two teams. So it's become a little bit of a rivalry, in my opinion.
Absolutely, guys, and we're getting good feedback in there. Go ahead, Hank.
No, I was just going to say honorable mention would be Georgia versus Alabama in recent years.
Yeah, I can see that.
They've been to what, a few championships against each other in the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was it was like a year, every other year, it seemed to be Georgia, Alabama playing for that championship, and here's a good one that was just mentioned: Draymond Green versus LeBron. Well,
I don't count that one because those two are on the barbershop together and they're actually friends.
Dylan Brooks. Wait. All right, Lance. Oh God, remind me, Hank, Shane and Hank. What was the guy? He played for Indiana Pacers, and he used to
Lance
blow.
Stevenson.
And he blew on LeBron James's face.
Dude, I got to show y'all a picture. I took a picture with Lance Stevenson about 10 years ago.
Oh man.
and I was gonna mess with him and be like, "Hey man, blow at him, don't blow in my ear, man." But I was still on the I was still on the radio at the time, and I mentioned it on the radio. I said, "Just Lance, we want you to fulfill your destiny here in Memphis, but don't blow in nobody's ear." Okay.
All right, so let's go to the next topic, and this is actually really interesting. This is so ESPN, Fox Sports, FS1, literally all of them have dubbed it the summer of Giannis. What does that mean? Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's angry. He's fed up. He's tired of Milwaukee, and I can absolutely not 100 but 200% agree that Milwaukee they've peaked, and now they're going to take a significant drop. They've already started that drop, but it's going to get even worse. And Giannis has said he is open-minded to going elsewhere. So, there's been polls that have been put out there. Where could Giannis land? One place that's been mentioned, Giannis goes to Atlanta, which, God, I hope that happens. Then Giannis going to the LA Lakers, which, that's a formidable possibility, but I don't know. But I want to open this up to people who are watching on the stream, which, by the way, we're almost at 50 comments. So let's keep it going. But Shane, I'm going to start with you. Where realistically do you think Giannis could land this offseason if he is in fact traded?
Realistically, it's way too early to tell, especially with somebody of his caliber. Any team is going to go after a player like this that has the cap room, in their budget to do so. Be it make some moves of their own in the offseason kind of deal. But any team that can realistically make the money work is going to be in the conversation for Giannis to go to. Of course, at this point in his career, I think, he's going to pull the move, is not create a super team, but maybe go to a contender. That seems to be the, most viable option for a lot of the vets that come up in this situation. And, some flourish, some don't. But, I think that's what we're going to see, but it's still way too early to tell on the favorites and stuff like that because we're not even done with the season yet.
That's true. But there's one can always speculate. What about you, Hank? Where do you think he could possibly land?
I really don't know. I don't know who needs him now. Like he's a great player, and he's kind of and he's still MVP caliber. Even
he's only 30, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's still got MVP caliber, and he played. He's had a little bit of a slow year, but I honestly cannot think off the top of my head. It would be a random place. I don't know where he should go, but I know he's probably going to end up somewhere random place. like when Durant went to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I see something like that for Giannis. I don't see him going somewhere and making a super team. If he goes down to Dallas, let's say he goes down to Dallas, that's two power forwards. One
could
play
the situation for them too.
Do what?
Because you're going to have, and look, John just said, here you go, Hank, Memphis.
I think they would have to. It would be a trade involved. I think Jackson Jr. might be the trade, obviously, because Jackson Jr. may not be the better player, but he's having the better career currently as far as at the power forward position because of his blocks and shooting percentage and stuff like that. But that would be the trade. That would be more of a trade as opposed to him. But then again, he's a free agent. He's a free agent, though, right?
No, Giannis has 3 years left on 147.5 million left. However, he is opened. He has a no trade clause, but he is open to waiving it because he does want out of the bleep show going on in Milwaukee. And look, Damian Lillard. I'm never going to discredit Damian Lillard. He's a phenomenal player. He's not going to. I just think that he's run out of time. And I don't think he has the pieces. He doesn't have the mentality as well to really win one now. Had he stayed with Portland, I think I really wish they'd put the pieces that Damian Lillard needed in Portland. And Portland would have maybe won at least one. But I think his time is coming to an end. And the bleep show that's really going on in Milwaukee, there absolutely is one going on. There is a team. He could play 53 games or 56 games of the year and only play 25 minutes a game. I could see something like that developing for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think he is going to be the signature of a franchise. You're not going to sit there and say, you know what, we're going to play Giannis today. No, they're going to say we're playing ABC and Giannis. That's what they're going to say. That's the kind of situation he needs to go into. I mean, obviously, anybody gets upset when they're losing, and they're losing like significant games that they realistically should be winning. So, look, I understand coaching plays a huge role. John just said maybe Orlando. That's a good possibility.
I like that. I think that's a good stop for him. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I mean,
I think you've got to have the pieces for that compensation and that cap room.
And just think about if he goes to Orlando, what would he give up? What would they be? They could give up. There's no way Orlando would give up Banchero. There's too many young quality pieces that would help. But it's a very real question. We want to hear your thoughts. I mean, I can think of one location too that they're a bleep show themselves as the Washington Wizards. They haven't been good and relevant in a very long time. Maybe he can spark something out of nothing for that franchise. I don't know, but it's something interesting. What do you think? Let us know what you think in the stream. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. We're already at 46. Let's keep it going. All right, we now know the NBA draft order. The lottery was held last night. Here, everybody's thoughts. But obviously, the conspiracy theorists are running rampant, and I kind of have to agree a little bit. You hear. So last night, I was texting our good friend Dustin at Powered Sports. I said, "Ain't no way San Antonio is going to get in that position." And then I was like, then they go to commercial break, and it's the top four, and both Dallas and San Antonio are still in the running for the number one pick in the draft. I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. And so then they pick, and it's a team. Our good friend Trey Davis, he said, Charlotte's never going to get a break. And I'm starting to kind of feel that way too. Charlotte had one of the better odds to get it, and they didn't again. And they got the fourth pick, and they're thinking, oh, great. So then I see the 76ers grab the third, which that was a questionable. The 76ers get the third. I'm thinking, oh, my God, the number one pick is going to come in the state of Texas, regardless of where. And I said, that would be absolutely ridiculous if San Antonio gets a first pick in the draft in 3 years. Remember, Atlanta got it last year. Then before it was Wembanyama. But then they get the number 2 pick. Dallas gets the first. Everybody's saying this is definitely rigged. Nico Harrison got his backside saved. He said, I was going to trade my best player, save the franchise, $100 million. And Adam Silver said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give you that number 1 pick. And Shane, you even texted me the second lowest odds.
Well, it's actually fourth.
The fourth lowest odds all time. And they get the number 1 pick. I want to hear so I'm going to go to you, Hank. I want to hear your thoughts about the draft, the lottery. Obviously, the first 4 picks we know is Dallas, San Antonio, Philadelphia, and Charlotte. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, Philadelphia's got their own problems right now with Paul George, because he robbed the Philadelphia 76ers of $22 million in one season. How is that possible? by his playing ability. That being said, Flag is probably going to be the one that gets picked number 1. That's the high consensus. There's never really been a big surprise in the last 10 seasons who the number 1 pick in the NBA draft is going to be. They're at least not from where I'm sitting. That being said,
so last year Atlanta, there was a debate about Washington was going to get Zachary Ricochet, and Atlanta was going to get Washington's selection, and it ended up being Atlanta getting Ricochet.
And I'm going to answer John's question real quick. He said, "Tell me why that would be if they have AD, because AD is injury prone." Okay,
Yes,
I got news for you. You can't get a full season out of AD. The fact that they put him on the top 75 list a couple of years ago is an atrocity. They should have put somebody like Dwight Howard on there who wasn't on that list, who may not have been as quite as skilled of a player as AD, but at the same time made more impact on the game than AD did, in my personal opinion. You know, he may have not gotten a ring later until he was with the Lakers, who played with AD, obviously, but that's to answer your question on that one. Injury prone. I think AD is probably one of the most overrated basketball players of all time, and you can stamp that on my forehead.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree because, I've made jokes that AD, breaking news, AD broke a fingernail. He's out for the year because he's hurt. That's the same thing I can say about Zion Williamson as well. Zion Williamson is always hurt too. But, what are your thoughts, though, with this, Hank? Like, I mean, do you feel some bit of, like, agreement with all the conspiracy theorists that's saying that the NBA is absolutely rigged?
Well, I would like to know what the drawing system comes from. Do they pick it from a bowl? Could they do like I think that I don't think it's rigged. I don't want to be that guy that gets in that sports victims mentality type thing, but I would love for them to like write down a bunch of pieces of paper with all the names on it, with each of the teams that are in the draft lottery, and then shake it in the bowl. All this on camera so the world can see, so we can get over this crybaby sports to victims mentality of the game is rigged, and stuff like that. So
what they do, you get they will assign you a number. We don't know the number. There's only 2 people in the entire, supposedly, in the league that know the numbers. They will assign you a number, and depending on your how bad you are, you get a certain amount more. So you get 14%. Is the max you can get for which is the quote the best odd, which means you get 14 opportunities to get your name selected as the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
that's supposedly
balls. They actually used to televise it. Max
they used to
old
it used to be a spin.
Thing.
Yeah, you would spin the ball, or you would do the Powerball machine where it would shoot up and you would have your logo on there. That was your selection.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe it's rigged. I really don't, because that once again, I'm reiterating this. I don't believe in this victims mentality of sports are rigged sort of thing. Everybody always talks about how the referees are cheating and stuff like that. No, they're humans just like you and I are. They make mistakes. Some of them have a bad day and make several mistakes. But this whole, sports is rigged type thing, I might as well. You might as, if that's the case, then why are you watching it? Why are you watching it?
Absolutely. All right. So Shane, what about you?
Hey, why are we watching it? Same reason why we watch WWE and the billions of fans out there do, because it's entertainment. I just to chime in on that point, but do I think that they do it for entertainment in some sense? They've got to. I mean, I'm not going to say that they have to, but it's awfully coincidental as much stuff has happened in the past.
Yeah, you got rid of Luka Doncic. You have a 1.8% chance.
Well,
how do you get the number one?
I'm fixing to go even a little bit deeper on it. I mean, you're talking about that part of it, and you can't tell me it's coincidental that we're talking about a 2024 the Mavericks Lakers trade, 2019 the Pelicans Anthony Davis trade.
They get the number one.
They get they get the number one. But then you look back to 2011 with and then New Orleans Hornets to the supposed Chris Paul to the Lakers, but ended up going to the Clippers, who got the number one pick the next year.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's multiple coincidences that are referenceable, but it's like Hank said, you still got to be a skeptic about it and still have a little bit of faith in the integrity, which will bring it back kind of to the first breaking news that we had, about the integrity kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So the NBA, I'm not sure exactly how they pick them now. I know how they used to be, like we said. But kind of the integrity, like give us all the model, because everything just kind of pops up on a screen now.
Yeah.
So how do we know it's not this, not that?
Right.
Kind of deal. And it's cool to see people sit down and break down what people are going to pick and everything else during that. But let's make it more realistic and reasonable to the average fan out there that's interested and wants to buy in, but yet, whenever you have true sports fans looking back deeper into the issue, kind of get turned off from the sport because of this. So it's one of those things that we always talk about with any sport out there. You've got to relate to certain fans at certain points, but then you also have to be relatable to the occasional fan. So
you're right. Absolutely.
It's one of those things that you gotta give us something on how this is exactly done now.
Yeah, don't just say pull it, throw a bunch of piece of paper and then hope the heck your number. No, there's something that we are not being shown. And I like what Hank you gave a good analogy, Hank. Put your name on a piece of paper, but then again, like I said, the max you can get is 14%. So that's 14 possibilities. Put your name on 14 sheets of paper, but then also, why don't you do it because it's the top 14 picks is the lottery. But do it the same thing for every team. Give 14 sheets of paper for every team, and then shake it in the hat, do whatever, and then whoever gets their name pulled the most, all right, then you get XYZ pick. You get this pick and that pick. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Or you have it split like that and do say the top 14. If you're in that 14 category and you get picked first out of the whole NBA, then you automatically get the number one pick. And then the first team that's 15 or better gets the 15 pick. Kind of go down the line like that, kind of even it out. That would be a great idea. I like that.
Yeah,
I do too.
I'm going to have faith in the system and say that these guys in the NBA are a little bit smarter than us. And since they're, since they're,
I don't know.
I can about guarantee.
From a marketing standpoint, they probably are. I mean, but at the same time, I like regardless of what the system is, it's much better than the NFL because the NFL, I'm going to
ask you a question. Do you think the NFL should have something similar, Hank?
Of course, absolutely. There would be. Look, I got news for you, man. Football season tickets should be cheaper the last 2 games of the season for some teams because they're not really playing their hearts out and they're not playing the right players and stuff like that.
Carolina.
And quite frankly, there could be incentive to. There could be incentive to actually be, more competitive during those games and stuff like that, because sports is sports, but it's also business, and it's also supposed to be, one of the things that, that's supposed to be the outing of that day, that you spent your hard-earned money working at Shakey's Pizza over the weekend and going to go see seats in the upper nosebleed sections. You know, I mean, what else can I say? I mean, I admire the NFL's marketability, so to speak, but as far as what is fair, I think it would help. And I think it would make the draft more unpredictable. Matter of fact, the draft lottery should maybe, to make it more interesting for the NFL, make the draft lottery on the day of the draft.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I like that. Absolutely. All right, hey Blaze, good to see you, man. Guys, we officially hit the 50 comment tonight with Blaze's comment there. Let's keep them going. Let's keep it going. Let's see if we can hit 75 comments tonight even. All right, so I want to so obviously I don't want to continue going on too long as we can. But let's switch it up and talk some Major League Baseball, which, by the way, I'm not going to tell the score because the Atlanta Braves it is the Atlanta Braves. They are called the Cardiac Kids for a reason. We're going to just leave that. We'll wait till the end to talk about it. All right. So here's what John said. I think the way it is keeps the lower teams the chance to add a big prize. Yes, that is possible. All right. So the Colorado Rockies, I don't know if you, the fan, saw this. I'm going to pull the picture up because I have it. Okay. It says Colorado Rockies emergency open tryouts. We're running out of options. They're talking about they need to have a new manager. Yes. The Colorado Rockies are absolutely abysmal. I believe they're like 7. They've only got 7 wins this year. Right now. They're on pace to actually be worse than last year's Chicago White Sox. In Chicago, so the MLB on Fox posted a video the other day about the Chicago White Sox, and the dude went to go get a pop-up and it doinked off of his head. And I said, are the Chicago White Sox really this bad, or are they trying to be bad because they're wanting out of Chicago? They want to go to another location. They want to be relocation. And someone said, no, they're really this bad. And you have to look at like the level of talent. It has significantly dropped in the last 3 years alone with Chicago. I didn't think anybody can get worse, but then you go run into the team called the Colorado Rockies. They absolutely are a dumpster fire. They're bad as can be. What is going on in Denver right now? And Hank, you're a baseball guy. Shane, you're a baseball dude. We're all baseball dudes here. Matt's even a baseball guy. But Hank, what is going on in Colorado? I mean, are they really this? I mean, there's got to be some madness, like some reason to this madness. But are they just that bad?
Oh well, as far as the tryouts go, I got a solution for Colorado. Send me a plane ticket and make me your play-by-play announcer, baby. But you know what? I mean, I don't know. The Colorado Rockies have been around since the early 90s.
Yep. And I remember they had that first game.
Yeah. I remember I used to have a t-shirt. I wasn't even a Colorado fan, and somebody gave me a t-shirt, and I've rocked that bad boy out because all that cool purple and stuff like that.
Hey, Larry Walker was the man.
Yeah, man. But honestly, I can't really articulate this because I don't know the fan base of Colorado Rockies. They've been around so long. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they have a ring?
No. No. Colorado has never won a World Series.
They got close.
They've gotten very close, but they've never won. Todd Helton.
But where would they put them? It's like, where would they put them? I mean, I don't know. It's not. There's not too many places in this country now that you could put a baseball team in that they already don't have. That they already don't have like a resource for, so to speak.
But I mean,
but you move in a major league team though, so you already have the infrastructure and the assets there. You're just moving in a major league team.
See, here's the comment right here. 2007 was the year that they made the World Series, but they lost to the Boston Red Sox, which that was the end of the curse of the Great Bambino.
Yeah, no, that was 2000. That was 2004 because they beat my Cardinals.
Yeah,
but that was Todd Helton and
Todd Helton.
Tulowitzki, I believe, was a shortstop.
Tulowitzki, yep.
But getting back to what Shane said, I don't know, like, if their resources are that good, then why do they need to move in the first place?
So Colorado is not. They don't want to move. It's Chicago White Sox that want to move.
Well, why? Well,
Chicago White Sox. So the owner, he wants out. He has said, gosh, I think it's been like 7 years in a row now. He has said he wants to, because you're always having to be compared to your brother, who is like 10 minutes down the road in the Chicago Cubs. And the White Sox, they've never been that sexy franchise that's done it for you. Like, oh my God, man, we're gonna go play the Chicago White Sox, and they're gonna, bleep the stew out of us.
Yeah, but
back in the early 2000s and 2010s, they were a decent, formidable opponent, if not winning a couple World Series with who was their manager at the time? Oh man, I used to love them.
John, let us see who their manager was for the White Sox, please.
I don't know.
But it's been such a long time, and I mean, honestly, though, I want to let me ask you guys the same question. I'm going to ask everybody the same question. When was the last time you circled the calendar and you saw your team? Hank is the Cardinals, we're the Atlanta Braves, and said, "Oh my God, we have to play the Chicago White Sox." I'm shaking in my boots. They're going to ring up 21 runs on us. Like, when was the last time you could be scared of them?
It was when Jumbo Frank was with them. I'll say that. And that was 25 years.
Ozzie Guillen, I believe was his name.
2005 was when he said it was the last time they were really scary.
But
okay, that's 20
Guillen,
years ago.
I mean, 2 decades.
And Ozzie Guillen played for the Atlanta Braves at one time too. Remember Paul Konerke? Oh my God, whatever.
Naga not gonna work here no more.
Kenichi.
Okay.
Kenichi.
All right. Konecki, Paul Konecki. All right. So I'm going to ask this question is, Shane, and I'm going to ask you too. What is going on with Colorado? I mean, are they really just that bad, or are they intentionally being that bad because they know that the 2025-26 draft class from college is going to absolutely, mollywop the world, because they really are a very loaded level of play coming out.
Yeah, and I think that is loaded, and it's funny that you mentioned dumpster fire, because I put it as they are a dumpster fire going down a hill on a bright sunny day in San Francisco. They've got plenty of fuel and oxygen to keep it ablazing right now. Man, they're on pace to give up more runs in a season than anybody ever in the MLB.
God, that's so sad to say that too.
It's but of course, we are, I guess, what you would consider the juice ball era, where the MLB is supporting the run influence in the rule
that's with every sport too right now.
Yeah, and the rule changes and everything else. But I mean, it's baseball. You go through these seasons, and hey, you get to 500 one season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, you're in the bottom of the league. With not even a quarter, 0.25 winning percentage.
Now, here's a crazy stat, by the way. Their biggest free agent signing was Chris Bryant, and I remember he was touted as one of the greats to come out. I remember that.
Well, that was coming, off of the World Series and everything. But I mean, still, in this day and age, it's still baseball, because we're still talking about the same team that held the Atlanta Braves to 3 hits in a series that they just had. But it's still something that not many people get to accomplish. Like we've heard, and we've talked to players, that are ultimately making this journey. It's the organization that they're on. But people make moves, and hey, you've got to stick with them if you're making those moves. But in all actuality, it's up to the manager at the end of the day to put the right players out there. And and for him to influence the GM to make those right moves in his signings and dealings. So, when you see the good relationship, as Hank's Cardinals, our Braves, Yankees, the Red Sox, you see how their managers have a great influence on their general managers and their player personnel that they have in the clubhouse. That's a big key in it. So anything can turn around. I mean, hey, we could look at them in 5 seasons and they're one of the top names in the NL, because if they put the right hitters in that ballpark every night with the current DH rule.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean,
and what's crazy to think is
thing.
that, you're right. Anybody can do it at any given time.
Well, and another thing is, we're bringing in the GMs and managers. We've also got to be talking about the owners and the boards of trustees and everything that own these teams, because baseball is a non-salary cap sport. If we want it to be more realistic and not see these instances of teams this bad, bring in a salary cap to where it levels the playing field on what you can spend out on the field. That's one of the biggest things that fix the disparity between the top and the bottom in the MLB.
I've said that too. I even told Matt this, last year in the offseason. You have a team who goes and spends $1.7 billion on 3 players. And for those who don't know who we're talking about the LA Dodgers. Yes, they pulled the Bobby Bonilla effect, and they're going to be paying Shohei Ohtani to the year 2078. But I mean, let's look. Okay, then look right down the road with the Tampa Bay Rays the Athletics. They have one of the lowest payrolls in all of Major League Baseball, and it absolutely shows.
That's fixing to change when they move to Vegas.
Yeah, that's about.
My friend
markets.
DJ Patazzi, he works for the Oakland Athletics, and he is absolutely stoked about going to Vegas. So
it's going to bring a whole lot of new opportunities, bringing in a new market, fan base, basis,
which
everything's going to be great.
I don't like the fact that these teams are going to these bullcrap towns like Vegas nowadays, but at the same time, this is a business.
Yep,
I mean,
business has changed. Yeah,
I can cry all I want to, but
change makes dollars. Dollars make sense, and sense will make you sleep at night.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go. I want to I want to switch back to the NBA again real quick. Everybody, shout out to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is returning back to the limelight of basketball. I'm about to say baseball. Good grief. Of basketball, he is going to be a special analyst for the NBA on NBC. Shout out to MJ. Good to see him. And they're actually bringing back a lot of the former greats that are going to be a part of this run. And I don't know if you guys remember, the NBA used to be on NBC a lot, and the introduction that was like, oh my God, I'm getting to watch NBA. And I just talked to my friend Trey about this. Yes, it was like that was it. We used to turn on TV and you could watch an NBA basketball game every night, or every weekend night at least. It was on NBA on NBC. Congratulations to MJ. Shane, I want to ask you real quick. Obviously we know the draft order. Who do you want to see be that pick? Now, first off, let everybody know who your team is in the NBA.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I was lagging a little bit. What was that?
Let everybody know who your team is in the NBA, and then let everybody know who your ideal selection will be for your team. I mean, because there's this they've already touted. This is the most talent stacked draft in quite some time. They're saying it could be a minimum 10 years ago. That was when the last time this draft was this loaded.
The NBA draft?
Yeah. They said this is one of the most talented NBA drafts in quite some time. So go ahead, Shane.
Well, and I can say the draft is loaded with freshmen this year.
Yes.
And good, talented freshmen at that.
First off, who is your team?
The Hornets. The
Okay.
Hornets. It's a hometown team, so I got to go for them. Right now in the first mock draft that I've seen out there, of course, everybody's seen flags going. The Mavs has already put it out there; they're not open to a trade.
Nope.
So we know where he's
Nico
going.
Harris decides to be stupid.
We know where he's going, but right now. The Hornets are mocked to select the shooting guard out of Baylor. I can't necessarily.
VJ Edgecombe, yes.
Yeah. And he's a good player, but if they're going to go shooting guard, I like Trey Johnson out of Texas.
That's actually an absolute good pick.
Yeah. I think Ace Riley's going to go to the 76ers.
Ace Bailey, you mean?
Yeah, Ace Bailey. I'm sorry. If he goes there. If he doesn't go there, Charlotte needs to pick him up immediately because I think he's going to be a game changer in the league. But if he's not there, if they want to go small forward, go Kneppel from Duke.
Yes, I want Atlanta again because the dude can shoot lights out 3-pointers.
Well, he can.
He's phenomenal.
But let me tell you, I'm going to give you a couple little tidbits on the draft, and then I'll let Hank get his little thoughts in and stuff like that because I know he's eager about these young guys coming into the NBA ranks. But man, the best value that I see out there is going to be Queen from Maryland, the big center. Man,
Ooh,
he's going to be the best value. They've got him, from like a 7 to 15 grade. I think he's the best overall center in this draft, even better than Duke center, and I'm not going to butcher that name either.
Malik, whatever. Yeah. Oh my God. So I think what he has really going for him though is he's a true 7'2". He's a really good defensive presence.
He's a great defensive presence. But another thing that we have touched on in the past that I'm going to bring up about this draft, the foreign influence.
Yes.
On this draft, where is it? In the
France.
first mock draft is the 15th pick with the guy out of France?
Yeah, Noah SMU or whatever.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've talked about it in the past, but yet now we're seeing this kind of transition to this young talent actually making an NBA impact, from the States. And maybe we might see a transition over back into a certain game to get away from the Euro step and all that mess.
So look, Hank, John just mentioned your team. I have no idea what to expect from my Grizzlies.
John, John, are you actually a Grizzlies fan?
He's in Tennessee, actually. Yes, he is. He is just outside of Nashville.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, John, I'm straight up in Memphis, man. I had season tickets up till the COVID. So
let me ask you this, Hank. We know your team is Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to look actually I'm trying to see where Atlanta. I mean, where y'all are like slated to pick, and I'm right now. Let's see. There's Washington, Brooklyn, Miami, Utah, then Atlanta again, Pacers, OKC. I don't even know. I don't even think you guys pick in the first round, do you?
No, I don't think so. And I mean, even if we did, we're like late in the. I mean, we made the playoffs.
Your first pick's in the second round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even if we weren't, we'd be in the late 20s and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, but I know y'all keep saying that this draft is deep, but I can't remember the last time an NBA draft was deep.
2013.
Past the 10th slot.
2013 was the last real one, I believe.
I won't go there. I'll say the 18 one because that was when like Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton and Jaren Jackson Jr. and a bunch of those. That was a pretty deep draft to me. But
yes,
as far as productivity, that's probably one of the weaker drafts as far as like years down the road. But yeah, man, you'd love
Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect, God, man, that situation that happened with him with the LA Lakers, he was traded and the trade was voided. Then he goes and he sits on the bench for LA.
Mm-hmm. I
think absolutely Dalton Connect deserves to go somewhere he is wanted. He is not wanted there, and it's because of Mr. LaFlop himself. So, all right, Here's the player that I want. I'm going to mention. I mean, obviously, I want Matt to be able to answer. So we'll bring when he comes back on Friday. We'll talk to him.
Well, his behind ain't coming on the show, so
yeah, because he actually has a corporate manager at his location for the week, so he's there with the books.
I'm just breaking balls because I didn't even call and give an advance on Friday. By the way, I need to tell what my excuse was. My excuse for not showing up on the show on Friday was that I had an anal cataract, which means I just couldn't see my ass coming on the show.
Oh boy. So anyway, the player that so there's two French players that are linked to Atlanta. Noah Essenju, which is 6'10". He's based out of France, but he played in Germany. And then Juan Behringer. Behringer is a 6'11", 230-pound center. Yes, Atlanta needs a big guy. So we'll see what transpires on that one. We will have Matt obviously give us his selections on the next episode. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
I like Murray Boyles for y'all if he's still there.
Yes, I've heard that name too. Murray Boyles. I've absolutely heard it.
He's a true power forward.
Yes.
I will not sit here and lie to you. I did not really follow his career, his college career that much, so I could not.
He's actually, he's pretty decent. I was really impressed. So if you go back, if you get a chance, go look at his film. He's actually got some really him and Jace Rich. Now Jace Rich
he reminds me of athletic Charles Barkley.
Yes,
I said the same thing. But I said the same thing about David Roddy. And I'm just not sure when he got drafted 2 or 3 seasons ago. I just do not see that style of playing being able to make it in the league nowadays, depending on his height, of course.
He's 6'8". He's based out. He went to University of South Carolina.
Yeah,
he's a true power forward. He is one of the few power forwards that are really left in the game of basketball. Yeah. Now you have a lot of versatile 4s and 5s. He's a true 4.
Yeah,
he's very versatile. He averaged, I think, like 17 points a game.
I guess size and physicality, you would compare him to a big Draymond Green.
Yes, that's absolutely true. You could absolutely compare that to. This comment for you is Hank about Zach Randolph. Marcus Al made me fall in love with the Grizz. I'd love us to get back to that. You've sentimented that same response.
Zeke.
I've actually got well, since you're a Grizz fan, I'll tell you, I've actually got Tony Allen's number on speed dial, but I would never call him because he's going to tell me to go to hell. So if I asked him to come on this show, he'd be like, "Man, I'm too busy, man." And plus, I haven't heard from him. So I haven't heard from him in 10 years. But
all right, guys. So let's switch it up. Majority of the world of the East Coast, West Coast, actually it's more the East Coast. They have about 7 days left of school for the young ones, and
what are we talking about?
This is like all kids. So my daughters only have 7 days left officially of school, and then they have summer break. And this goes back to you as a kid as well. What did you most look forward to as a kid? Obviously, you had the final bell that said, "Get on out of here." You're booking it, Dano, out, and you're enjoying the entire 3 months of summer. Which kids nowadays don't even get to really. They don't even know what 3 months of summer looks like. They only know about 6 to 7 weeks. But I'm going to start with you, Shane, and the people who are in the comments. Which, by the way, we're only 6 comments away from the 75 mark. Let's get it going. But I'm going to ask you, and our boy Jody's in there too. So Jody, chime in. Shane, what did you look forward to most that final week of school?
Hey man, that final week of school, man, I look back, especially I've got a great friend. He's been on the show. Man, I've seen his son grow up from like knee high to a grasshopper type deal, from 4 or 5 years old. Man, he's a, FFA officer for 4 years, wrestler, 2-time state finalist in wrestling. Great kid. And going down to his graduation, maybe remember, that transition from that high school, kind of those childhood memories that you have that transitions from, that childhood to that adulthood at that point. And, getting that invite, meant a whole lot for me. So, shout out to Landy Lou for doing his thing. But that transition from childhood to adulthood, that's kind of one of the biggest things that you'll remember throughout your lifetime of that time period from school to that adulthood type.
I like that. So, Hank, what about you? When you were in school, what did you look forward to most, other than the final bell, where you throw all the papers up, or be like that one high school in Pennsylvania where they wait for the bell and then the bell rings, they dump school year's worth of paper down the stairs, and it's like a herd of elephants just dumping the paper all out there. And I feel so bad for those janitors who have to clean that mess up, but they've been doing it for such a long time. But what
They
did you
keep
look for?
Band-Aids in business with all them cuts they get to.
Yeah, for real. What did you look forward to the most, Hank?
It's been so long, I don't remember.
It's been so long, dude. You're the same age as me, and I can remember my favorite thing.
You know what? I mean, maybe hey, I don't know, man. Like I just don't remember. I don't remember elementary school like that.
You can do elementary, middle school, high school, whatever school.
Oh, well then high school? I don't know. It was so long ago. I don't remember.
Again, you act like you're so old you fart in dust.
I'm telling you, no, shoot. Hey, man.
Brandon was still using an abacus to do.
You know what?
Dude, I'm so old, man. When God said let there be light, I flipped the switch.
Oh my gosh. I was homeschooled, so I never got a summer. Haha. That was whenever we went on. Oh, okay. Whenever we went on trips.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had a friend of mine. He was attracted to his teacher, but the problem was he was homeschooled. So there was,
oh my word. Here we go.
I bet you was from Brandon's home state.
Yeah, you're so funny.
Oh, Bama boy over there.
Here we go. Stick it on.
Yeah, it's like
I don't even know what to say.
It's like you're from North Carolina and everybody cheers. You got to screw your cousins.
No, that's Alabama. It's legal
that's Alabama
down there. Yeah, it's legal in Alabama.
Yeah, that's the Alabama thing. All right, so my favorite thing then for high school, God, it was my sophomore year. And I know it's going to sound really like stupid when I say this, but my sophomore year, the favorite thing I used to look forward to doing was going out and riding my bike with my best friend Jerry at the time. Oh man, like Jerry and I, shout out to Jerry Yushikov. If you watching this, man, it would be great to catch up with you. But him, we would get, heck, even when we were freshmen and even in 8th grade, we'd go out when the sun come up, and we'd come home when we come home later than that, but we'd come home when the lights came on outside. And I remember there were times during the summer, Jerry and I would go play basketball at the school right up the road from our house, our neighborhood. We'd be there till like 4:30 in the morning playing basketball. It'd be pitch dark. Who didn't care? We would still play. That was absolutely one of the most enjoyable experiences that I got to do as a kid, was to play basketball with my best friend at the time. And of course, I also like looking forward to doing OTA in football. I loved doing my off the field workout activities with the football program. It was a lot of fun. So I had a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, that was what I looked forward to most. All right, so guys, we've had a fantastic show today. We literally, guys, we're only one official subscriber away from the 1,000, which our good friend Dave Preston should be clicking subscribe anytime. But let's help him out. Let's click that one extra subscribe for us so that he can be 1,001. We need your help. Go right now to our YouTube page at the Sportz Nutz 176. Please click that little subscribe button.
We need your help.
And just click that little bell button. That lets you know when we have great content coming out. As you guys saw, we just released another short clip. Thank you to Hank for his Brick by Brick My Citizens. And then, of course, Shane coming out with It's funny you mentioned Angel and Brick in the same sentence. That was legendary.
I don't appreciate Matt cutting out the word ratchet. Okay.
Yes, he cut it out.
I got news for you. Caitlin, I've got news for you that Angel Reese is a ratchet chicken head. Okay.
Oh, sorry. That was,
On lighter news, like you said, we were going to entertain. The Braves are up with
Yep.
another chance.
That's right. The Braves. So, folks, if it happens tonight, it will be a Major League Baseball record. There have been 38 teams to start 0-7. There's only been 5 to ever make it back to 500. 5. However, if Atlanta wins tonight, they are currently 20-21. If they win tonight, our good friend Brandon Gaudin, the last team that made any real like waves when getting to 500 was the 2008 Detroit Tigers. They made it to 40-40. They made it to 580 games. If Atlanta wins tonight, it'll be the fastest team ever in Major League Baseball history to start a season 0-7 to get back to 500. Fingers crossed they do it. Guys, we have a lot of upcoming episodes that we're going to share with you real quick. So Friday, yes, this Friday, unfortunately, our good friend Hank will not be with us. He actually has some things he needs to attend to. So, but we will have a. Go ahead.
I'm about to that anal cataract is starting to grow, so I can't see my butt coming on the show today, Friday.
Here, my uncle, Coach Chipper Jones, and Brian. So Brian McCann actually was at Duluth High School. I got to meet him. He's an interesting fella, to say the least. All right. So then next Tuesday, we have Dave Preston. He is the radio play-by-play announcer for the Washington Capitals. He also calls the Washington Commanders, and he also dabbles with the Washington Nationals. He is going to join us and talk some hockey because, obviously the Washington Capitals, they're literally a sneeze away from ending their season, and Alex Ovechkin could all be for naught if they don't win the next 3 games. It's a 3-game series. Then next Friday, yes, this is the episode I'm looking forward to. Our good friend Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game will be with us. Our good friend John from Pitch Grid Podcast also is going to join us because Abe is going to talk a little bit about MLS, and we want to hear his thoughts on that as well. And our good friend John is also very big with the Major League Soccer. Then, guys,
Jody will be there too.
Jody will be there too, guys. Then May the 30th is our season finale, season 3 finale. So we will kind of recap season 3 and all the big moments, and then we take
I'll be there for a brief second. My cousin's got a wedding tonight,
so we will take a few days off. And season 4 starts back up on June the 6th, and we actually have a very special guest. You're gonna like hearing this story. His name is Michael Crane. He was on top of the world. He worked for ESPN. He worked for CBS. He was covering the Masters in 2007 and ended up robbing a bank and spent 2.5 years in jail. He's going to share his story. It's actually really monumental what he has overcome. So you're going to really enjoy that. And then, of course, we literally have guests booked left and right starting for season 4. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have somebody who covers the Chicago Bulls, Chicago Cubs, and, of course, the aforementioned Chicago White Sox. So we're going to have a lot of fun covering that one. So, guys, for our good friend Matt, who always tells you, don't get flagged in a game of life. Shane, what do you tell these lovely people, sir?
Hey, man, as always, it's been a pleasure. We enjoy everybody watching us. Anytime we get a chance to get on here together and talk about, something that we love and enjoy, it's a pleasure to us. Hopefully it's a pleasure to y'all. But as always, peace, love, and bacon grease.
Yes, peace, love, and bacon grease indeed. By the way, shout out to John of Pitch Grid Podcast. He is the winner of the $15 Apple iTunes gift card. I will get it to you momentarily, sir. Hank, what do you tell these lovely people?
Man, I appreciate y'all being here, man. Y'all could be doing something else, but you're here with us. And remember, Angel Reese is a ratchet, chicken-headed 304.
Block. Guys, we ended up topping out with 78 comments. Thank you to all those who tuned in. We really appreciate it. As I always tell you, peace up. 8-10 down. Why it's the greatest sports city there ever was. Hey, Braves, let's try and make MLB history tonight. And yeah, let's have a great rest of your evening. We will see you on Friday, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Matt will be back with us. Until then, have a good evening and enjoy the outro. Good night.